Hey, what's up, guys? Going to be doing a movie review today, and that is Brainscan. Came out in 1994 and it stars Edward Furlong. Now, this is the film I saw back in the day on cable, and it's always been one of those movies that, I've always had a soft spot for. It's kind of one of those guilty pleasure type of movies. It does have flaws to it, and I'll get into that later in the review, but just to give you a little bit of the premise of the film, it's basically about this teenager by the name of Michael Brower, who is a really big horror fanatic, and he's part of this horror club with his buddy Kyle, and they watch horror films. And the principal doesn't like that they, watch, horror films in this horror club and everything, and he's trying to ban it. And so his buddy Kyle contacts Michael, and he tells him that he saw this ad in Fangoria about this game called Brainscan, where you can, it's kind of like a virtual reality experience where you're in a hypnotic trance and you play the killer as you're killing victims in this game. And it's like, it feels real, and you feel like you're really there. So Michael's really intrigued. So he contacts, the company, Brainscan. He tells his computer, Igor, to dial 1-800-555-FEAR. And Igor says, "Yes, master," which is pretty cool, actually. I want one of those Igor computers. But yeah, so he talks to the company, a representative of Brainscan, and they send him a CD-ROMs of Brainscan. So Michael pops it in and plays the game, and it feels real. He's a killer. He kills one of his neighbors, and he wakes up, and he's like, whoa, this is intense. He really enjoyed the game. Come to find out later on that the events that happened in the game actually happened in real life, because his neighbor is killed the same way. And you got this detective that is suspicious of Michael, because Michael keeps showing up at crime scenes, and and later on, this virtual demon by the name of Trickster invades Michael's space and is telling him, you need to play the game again because there's witnesses, you need to clean up the mess, and you need to play all 4 discs of the game to beat the game. And Michael doesn't want to play it anymore because he found out that it really happened. He's freaking out, And every time he plays the game, there's more witnesses, and some of them are close to him, like his best friend Kyle, and Trickster's like saying, you gotta get rid of the witnesses. And he doesn't want to play the game, but he has to play the game. And another witness later on is the girl that he likes next door, that he's, in love with, and he spies on her and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much the premise of the film, without giving too much away or revealing the ending of the film. But my thoughts in the movie, it's one of those films that's not even toned. It has so many things going on in it, and it doesn't know what kind of movie it wants to be. Does it want to be a legit horror film, or does it want to be something like, kind of like the later Nightmare on Elm Street films where Freddy's like cracking jokes and being a comedian, along with, being a serial killer. It's like, what kind of tone are they trying to make with this film? Because there's times where it's a legit horror film, it's serious, and you're into it, and then it goes off to somewhere else where Trickster appears in the flesh, and he's like kind of making jokes. This villain, which to me was nothing like Freddy Krueger. I mean, he's kind of like a watered down version of Freddy Krueger, and he's just not really menacing. He doesn't really pose a threat to me. I don't think he's very threatening at all. And I don't know, his humor doesn't always work. It just feels like, this was like an afterthought when it came to creating this character by the name of Trickster. And I don't know, he's better as like a narrator. Like he'll talk to Michael while he's playing the game, and that's better than actually seeing Trickster, because the whole visual of Trickster is kind of like this guy that looks like this washed up rock star. Kind of like he looks like, I don't know, like Iggy Pop or like maybe Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. I mean, he just has that look, that rock star look. And it just doesn't really come off as scary or anything. So I don't know if they were trying to be more like kind of like a Freddy type of thing with later films, or what they were trying to do. I know that the late 80s and early 90s, they had that whole thing where it was like a mix of horror and kind of like comedy in a way. Had some like dark humor, but it doesn't quite work with this film when it comes to that part of the film. I think they should have had Trickster's showing up to a bare minimum. If anything, not even show him. Just have where he was like a narrator, and that was it. I think it would have made him more scarier as a narrator, and you never see him. Leave more mystery, because the way he looks, the whole visual of him, it just doesn't come off that threatening or anything scary. But yeah, I mean, Edward Furlong does a good job. He does what he can, with the material he has. And it's a very intriguing premise. I mean, I like the concept that he's in a dream. He's in a like hypnotic trance, playing this game, kind of virtual reality type of thing, where he's the killer. Things that are happening in the game happens in real life, because he records himself later on in the film, and after he records himself playing the game, he goes back and looks at the footage, and he sees that he was sleepwalking. So he thinks that he's the killer, and this is not a game anymore. So without giving too much away, yeah, for the most part, I mean, it's a pretty decent time waster type of film. It does have flaws to it. But for the most part, I think it's a film that you can watch on a rainy day, and if you have some time to spare, it's a movie you can hopefully enjoy anyway. I mean, I've always enjoyed the film. I grew up with the movie. I like the little things they have in it, where they have like, Fangoria magazines. Michael's really big on horror films. He's got all these horror posters of Frankenstein, and he's got posters of Alice Cooper and Iron Maiden, and it's pretty cool. If you're like really big on horror films, this is like it's a cool film to watch. And it was pretty cool. Michael's room he has, kind of like a horror geek's dream. All the stuff that he has. I really like that Igor, you know, computer that dials 1-800-555-FEAR. It's pretty cool. That's a cool concept. But yeah, it's just one of those movies. It doesn't always have a smooth narrative, but it's decent for what it is. There's some CGI that looks kind of fakey at times towards the end. You got Trickster opening his mouth really wide, trying to swallow Michael. And there is one deleted scene which I never saw before. I guess it's on the Blu-ray release. But that was horrible. It kind of looks like something from John Carpenter's The Thing. That was pretty damn bad. I mean, the girl in the film that Michael likes, she's screaming her head off, and that's fine. Her performance is fine, but it just makes you laugh because what she's screaming at is just, wow, that's really fucking fakey as hell. I mean, even for a practical effect, it's pretty fakey looking. It's like Michael and Trickster like trying to blend together or something like that. It looks like something from fucking The Thing, I don't know. I could see why it got deleted, because it's not a very good effect. So, yeah, overall, Brainscan's a pretty fun film if you're big on horror films and you like that type of stuff. I think it's worth the watch. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I hope you guys have a good day. Take it easy.